Good morning, friends. This is Father Tim. Well, wouldn't you know it? Random number generator selection, the last of the three books for which we did an introduction, found its way to be the first to read. So we'll start reading from Lamentations this morning, friends. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for praying with us. Remember that at the end of this video, I will be back live again in moments and we'll pray morning prayer together. But for now, we read from Lamentations. And before we start reading, let me just share this poster board. We'll call it that. That's a good term for it. An overview of the Book of Lamentations itself. 5 chapters. Don't be fooled, though. 5 chapters doesn't mean this is an easy read. Lament is, well, not easy. Each of the 5 chapters, by the way, are represented with a box here. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3, Chapter 4, Chapter 5. Interesting thing, by the way, um, this you won't see it so much in the text here that we'll read, but in this case, lament really truly is poetry, and there you can tell in the Hebrew text where the next line begins because it's like it has bullet points, like in an outline. The next letter in the Hebrew alphabet. And so chapters 1 and 2 uh, go through the alphabet the first time. Chapter 3 is on its own. Looks like 3 rounds through the alphabet. There's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And then, yeah, that's not what I meant to do. And then chapters 4 and 5 each have 22 verses, or as appointed by the Hebrew letters in consecutive order. So it's an interesting little thing. That, like I said, you won't see this so much in the text as we'll read it, but it's an interesting thing to know nonetheless. So, good morning, Don and Linda. Good morning, Mom. Let's read chapter 1. We'll read for about 8 minutes, which is why I have the timer down there. And Lady Zion's grief and shame. Jerusalem personified as the daughter of Zion. The city's destruction is equal to the death of a loved one. And you'll see here that as we read, we'll have I'll be reading from the left column, the Complete Jewish Bible, but I also have the New Revised Standard in the right column so that we can compare as we go along. All right, I think I did this, but good morning, Mom. Good morning, Don and Linda. Just in case I haven't, let's read, friends. We enter into Lamentations. How lonely lies the city that once thronged with people, once great among the nations. Now she is like a widow. Once princess, once princess among provinces, she has become a vassal. Bitterly she weeps at night, tears running down her cheeks. Not one of all her lovers is there to comfort her. Her friends have all betrayed her. They have become her enemies. Judah, Judah, Judah has fled into exile from oppression and endless slavery. She lives among the nations, but there she finds no rest. Her pursuers have all overtaken her in the midst of her distress. The roads to Zion, it's just a Jewish spelling of Zion. The roads to Zion are mourning because no one comes to the festivals. Her gateways are all deserted. Her Kohanim are groaning. Her unmarried girls are grieving. How bitter it is for her. Now, I'm going to take a look at this because from the side by side, it's pretty safe to say Kohanim is priests, but okay. Well, yeah, from the side to side, that's pretty safe to say that. Yep, the descendants of Aaron who served in the temple as priests. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Verse 5. Oh, and we're going to run into this the first time. So remember, okay, so this is the Jewish Bible, the Jewish biblical text, and what we'll see in our text as Lord, lower caps, the sacred name of God. Jewish Bibles will make this into Adonai. Lord, like this, is the sacred name of God, which is shown into English transliteration with the, consonants YHWH, which for our Jewish friends is considered so sacred. The divine name of God, the sacred name of God, that only God can speak it. And so when they come across it, they give a generic name, not even generic title. It's like just calling God God, Adonai, God. Verse 5, her foes have become the head, her enemies relax. For Adonai has made her suffer because of her many sins. Her young children have gone away captive before the foe. All splendor has departed from the daughter of Zion. Her princes have become like deer unable to find pasture, running on, exhausted, fleeing from the hunter. In the days of her affliction and anguish, Jerusalem remembers all the treasures that were hers ever since ancient times. Now her people fall into the power of the foe, and she has no one to help her. Her enemies are gloating over her, mocking her desolation. Jerusalem is the Jewish name for, yes, Jerusalem. This sounds a little bit different to our ears because as Christians, we're not used to that. But that's what that is. Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Jerusalem sinned grievously. Therefore she became unclean. All who honored her now despise her, because they have seen her naked. She herself also mourns and turns her face away. Her filthiness was in her skirts. She gave no thought to how it would end. Hence, here her astounding downfall, with no one to console her. Look, Adonai, how I suffer, for the foe has triumphed. Let me pause just for a moment and point out here. So here we start to hear this embodied Jerusalem in the form of a woman complain, lament, she's suffering. And the text is pretty clear. She's brought this on herself, but nonetheless, she's suffering. And at last, remember the suffering is coming because of not following God faithfully, not walking in God's ways. But alas, here now, in the form of lament, there is the beginning of a return to God. Still not going to make lament easy, by the way. How close are we to? No, I think that's good for now. We'll pause there. And verse 10 will be where we pick up next time. So we didn't end up reading a whole lot, and that's okay. Um, Verse 10 will be our starting point next time. And when we come back to Lamentations, so we're right here still. See? Look, O Lord, on my distress. There's the beginning of a turn, even in lament. Okay. Good morning, Anthony. Friends, we're going to close this one off, but we haven't prayed morning prayer yet, so keep in mind that in just a few moments you will see that we shall be live again for the purpose of praying together this morning. This morning we began with Lamentations. In a moment, we'll continue with Matins. See you in a couple of minutes on the next live when we pray morning prayer together. Good morning, Francis. Just under the wire on this one. See you in a few moments.